Shalom, family. So, in today's video, I want to talk about can you make a living as an herbalist? And I want to preface this by saying when I'm talking about making a living, I'm not talking about living paycheck to paycheck or just making enough to pay bills or being burned out and not actually being able to live in the moment and enjoy your business, because at that point you might as well stick with the employer, have them match your 401k, and not take on the extra burden of having to manage a business. Why take on that extra burden if you don't have to? So, if you're going to make a business, yes, you can make a living, but most herbalists don't, and it's because of the way that they go about conducting business. So, I have three different things that I'm going to talk about and break down. And the first one is the reason why most herbalists won't or don't make a living is because they're basically starting with a business that's going to have a low profit margin. So what I mean by this is starting off with a product-based business. That's probably one of the most popular. Probably one out of two herbalists at least start a business because they want to sell products. And I'm not saying don't sell products. When I first started, I think it's 8 years ago, I started off making products for the face, body, and hair. You always have to have something that makes your products different. So even now, I still have customers who have been with us for years. And my difference was that I was making products that were 100% natural for the face, body, and hair. So you weren't going to find any preservatives. And we always talk about using fruits, nuts, and seeds to make our products. So you can understand the different ingredients. We weren't adding extra fragrances or things like that because we wanted basically be tailored for everybody, people with sensitive skin needs, not adding anything to add a certain color or to thicken it. Every single thing that we have has a purpose. And so if you're going to have a product-based business, think about first, is this something that really can be marketed to be different and people can really see the appeal versus everything else? A lot of people are just going to, sell bulk herbs. There is a cap or there's a limit to what people will pay for any herb. So, like, if the standard for peppermint, organic peppermint leaf, is maybe 20 to maybe even $30 in the high end. If you're coming in and you want to charge, $15, $20 for 1 ounce of it, you're really not going to have a buyer. Why? Is because it's not something that is unique. Anybody can take organic peppermint leaves, and it's actually very easy to find nowadays. Organic herb suppliers, you can take organic peppermint leaf, you all pretty much are going to be drying it the same, whether it's sun dried or whether you're just laying it out, or whether you're dehydrating it with the actual dehydrator, whatever. There's really no uniqueness there unless you're coming out and saying you have freeze dried peppermint leaf. Maybe someone would be willing to pay maybe double that. But really, you kind of capped at what the price can be. So that's the issue when you're making products. One, is the demand really there? I mean, yes, people are buying these products, but there's so many options already to choose from. So if you're not differentiating yourself in any way, how can you think that you're going to effectively be able to make a living when you're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing? So you have to have a new take. Same thing with tinctures. They're just coming with herbs and alcohol. Like you're not really going to have much difference there, unless maybe your alcohol is made from like fruit or something like that. Okay, that could be something new, but you really have to be unique when you're doing it this way. The other thing about the product-based business is the cost, and the profit margins are going to be small again because most of the time. So I don't recommend anyone starting a product-based business in 2023 unless you're going to be like a premium price. Like if you're trying to just compete with the price that everybody else has, it really doesn't make sense to do. And it's going to be hard for you to do that because the price that you're packaging your product, you have to think about how much it actually costs you for all of the materials. So all of the ingredients that you're using to make it, the packaging, the labeling, the ink that you're actually using to print. All of those different things go into it. But then also the time that you have to spend making it. So the labor, if you are drying this with a dehydrator for a certain amount of hours, you need to have it actually calculated to how much energy that it costs also to produce this thing as well. And so then you got to think about packaging and, all of that. And the one thing that I've heard and I found it to be true is that it takes the same amount of energy to sell something at $15 that does to to sell something at $150. You're still gonna have to market it. You're still gonna have to brand it. You're still gonna have to put it out there. You're still gonna have to do the same process, but you're gonna get much less profit margin. And so with the product-based business, unless you can really, go viral and have thousands of different people that are shopping with you, really it's gonna be hard to make a living just starting out when nobody knows you. And people can see this company has this amount of reviews and yours doesn't. So you're really going to have to spin it in a unique way and really let people know what makes your product so much more valuable than everything else. And so if you already have a product-based business and you don't know what your actual profit margin is, here's how you can do that. This is what I'm just a person that's really calculated. I love to write things down, have numbers, everything concrete. I'm a person that plans not only for a year, for 5 years. So that's just how my mind goes. So when I started my business, I made sure I got every single thing that I ordered, all the ingredients that I had, and I marked it down to the ounce, how much I was actually paying for each thing. If I got essential oils, I marked it down to each drop, how much each drop actually cost me. And so you really want to get technical like that. When you're making labels, how much does each individual label cost you? We used to purchase our labels and then also the ink. So make sure you have all of that incorporated. Now, you don't really necessarily have to do like the packaging and shipping. That should be in your shipping cost, but you want to know that as well. So literally, if you're using one sheet of gift wrapping paper, make sure you know how much it costs you for each one, and make sure that all of that, the cost of the box, the time as well, all of that is factored in to your price for your shipping, so that you can see what the actual cost is to make the product, just to get it finished. And that includes if you're using shrink bands and things like that for your products. All of that, make sure you know what that is before you even come out with the price. And so the other thing that you can do is as well is before you even decide to make a product, you can maybe think about what ingredients you want to have in it and everything, and see if that even is going to make sense for the price range that you want to have it for. So one thing that I learned is I'm a person who loves having ideas. Ideas come to me easy, but it's hard to have restraint and to know, okay, this would be, and this is something that I would like to do, but it doesn't make sense for me to do. Like financially, it doesn't make sense. So when you're first starting also with a product-based business, make sure you don't have 1,000 SKUs. And that means just 1,000 different products as well. It's gonna take much more materials. So you're gonna need much more bottles and different packaging and labels and maybe even different sizes. And so the more products you have, the more that you're going to also need to have an inventory and whatnot. So if you don't have the space, you don't have the money or the funds necessarily to invest, make sure you know all of that up front. So you really have to be planning before you decide to do things. You really have to plan it out well and to see, is this even going to be a viable business model for me, for what I say that I want to make. So come up with that income goal first and think about how you would like to get there, and see what is required of it to see if it makes sense. Now, the second thing that you can do, the second business model that is a little bit better, and you might be able to do if you do start off with a product-based business, is to turn that product-based business into a service. And some examples of this would be maybe offering a class on how to make and also selling products at the end, or selling goods at the end, something for them to actually purchase at the end. It can be doing a consult first and then including the price of a product. So pretty much offering more so you can get more as a profit as well. Maybe offering a class on how to make and also selling products at the end, or selling goods at the end, something for them to actually purchase at the end. It can be doing a consult first and then including the price of a product. So pretty much offering more so you can get more as a profit as well. Instead of just deciding that you want to make a product that's going to be on a shelf, on your shelf, on your website, maybe doing private labeling. So making products for others that they're going to use and market as their own. They're going to do the marketing, they're going to do all of that. And all you doing is, if you have if you're really good at making recipes, maybe you're making recipes for other companies. And so, of course, they're going to pay you more of a premium to have the rights to that as well. Or maybe you could even have it to where you're private labeling for many different companies. And so, going from that first tier and then maybe making it a teeny bit better is by adding a service or something that you can do as well. This is going to be something that's going to set you apart as well, because most people, as I said, will go with the product-based business, and you'll be more specialized once you actually have a service. You'll be able to up the price as well. The only problem with some of this is that the cap will then be on the amount of time that you're able to give. For myself, I do consults for 45 minutes. And so there's only a certain amount of time that I have to devote to my business. And then if I'm dividing it in 45-minute increments, there's a certain amount of people that I can actually see and be able to help, right? Because not only do you have that 45 minutes, but you have before the different, pulling different materials and different things like that, making their recipe. So it's even more than that 45 minutes. But even then, you have limited amount of time. And so that's going to also limit the amount that you're able to scale. So you can always increase your prices as you go, and you also should. But again, when you are selling your time, it is going to be, again, a cap on how much you can make. And so you want to get it to where you don't have to, you're not really selling the time, and you're not really just selling a product that you can't really mark up past a certain amount. There's another quote that I heard, or another saying that someone said, and they said, where when you're working and it feels like your life depends on it, it is because your life is actually depending on it, because you're actually selling your time and you only have a limited amount of time. Everyone has, it's appointed a certain amount of time to actually be here. So when you're paying with things in time, you're paying with your life. And when you think about it that way, you don't want to be beholden to those time constraints in your business and limited by that. What's important to me is spending time with my children, especially while they're young, is very important. Homeschooling them, making sure they're able to eat the right things, and having time to have a garden, having time to have chickens, and when I say family, I mean, husband, all of that, us to be able to have have experiences, to be able to go somewhere, to have flexibility with my time, and not having to feel like I need to do XYZ in order to get a result. And so in the way that you can do that is, how can I duplicate myself but not actually have to give more? So I'm all about, in this stage of business, all about doing things smarter and not harder, right? And so for me, books, I have 6 different books now that I have. So that's work that I've already created in the past. The extra work would just be printing them and shipping them to people. And so just, you see all the time I'm mentioning my books, because people, why they ask questions. That would be extra time that I have to spend to go answer the questions, instead of answering all the questions that people have and just saying, here, I made this for you because I know that you had this question. If you're interested, look down below, and you can do that in this video too. Look down below and you can actually get your questions answered. So basically, I did something one time and I'm able to, just present it with less work and less effort. Instead of just deciding that you want to make a product that's going to be on a shelf, on your shelf, on your website, maybe doing private labeling. So making products for others that they're going to use and market as their own. They're going to do the marketing, they're going to do all of that. And all you doing is, if you're really good at making recipes, maybe you're making recipes for other companies. And so, of course, they're going to pay you more of a premium to have the rights to that as well. Or maybe you could even have it to where you're private labeling for many different companies. And so going from that first tier and then maybe making it a teeny bit better is by adding a service or something that you can do as well. This is going to be something that's going to set you apart as well, because most people, as I said, will go with the product-based business, and you'll be more specialized once you actually have a service. You'll be able to up the price as well. The only problem with some of this is that the cap will then be on the amount of time that you're able to give. So with consults, I do consults for 45 minutes. That's 45 minutes that I have to, and even I have it available on Barnes and Noble or Amazon. And so they can actually do the work for me as well. They'll just take a little bit of cut for the convenience, but it's convenient for me and where I'm at in my business because I don't have much time as much anymore. The other benefit is I get to choose where I want to spend my time. So now I choose to spend my time with my students in groups or one-on-ones and get them really good results so that they can also do the same thing as well. So you get to choose, having the freedom to choose what you want to do with your time, choose where you want to spend your energy. I think that that's why most people start businesses. And the only way you'll really get that is to have things that you don't have to do everything. Things are more automated, things are already done for you and can be, put into a system to where it's going to be easier to duplicate without actually having to duplicate yourself or do twice or three times as much work as a lot of us were trained to do. We got to be 2 times, 3 times as good for the same amount of effort. Actually, when you're choosing your business, you don't have to treat yourself that way. You can do less and get more out of it if you just put it into the right things. The other thing for me is courses. The courses, of course, you're always updating new materials as you're getting more questions. As students need more clarification, yeah, you can always be adding more. But the core videos, the core information, the notes, the books, all of those things have already been figured out. So again, it's all about, I already went through my journey. These students already went through this journey and they know, and I know the best way to get them to this end result. So I made everything tailored for you. You could just go in, just like I'm making this video, and I'm tailoring it to you and what you need. The same way, I've already made this course. People can join at any time. Half of the sales can be, while you're sleeping or while you were doing nothing, while you were spending time with your family, doing it the way you want to do it. But you're actually making that income semi-passively. Most things you actually have to do maybe a little bit. You might have to talk to different people, answer the questions before they get there. But that's the real way that I have seen that works to actually have the goal, the vision that you see for yourself as a business owner to actually get there. And so I just wanted to make this video just to kind of lay it all out because I've done and do in some capacity all of those different things, but I'm just sharing what I found gives me the most bang for my buck. I hope that you guys feel like you got some clarity and some information and also some motivation from this video. Let me know what you got down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.